Hey guys, thank you for joining us. Welcome to our Dead End Hip Hop panel. Today our topic is going to be going inside the mind of a music critic. And we're gonna have kind of like the panel part first and then like the ask, like a section for questions at the end. BZ, ready?
Oh, hey, how you doing?
All right, we're sitting with all of our guys. Mike.
Oh, you kind of introducing everybody?
Yeah.
Hey, BZ, what's up? BZ 430, my bad.
BZ 430, and we got Ken.
What's up?
And People. Hey People.
What up?
You awake?
I'm good.
All right, awesome. I'm gonna go ahead and start the first, I guess, set of questions, which would be, how many times do you listen to an album when reviewing it?
When I know we're going to review an album and know which album it's going to be, I usually listen to it at least 4 times. At least gives me a chance to, because sometimes we might get like a last minute notice of what we're going to review, so I'm like, okay, I got to at least get about 4 good listens of it because it lets me sit with the album well and have a good, so I can come up with a good opinion on the album, how I feel, whether it's negative or positive. So four times.
Kind of similar to me, but I'm usually at least 3. 3 mainly because I feel like the first listen is really just going to give you that initial reaction, which is really important. The second listen, you can actually start analyzing the album, and by the third listen, you can go ahead and just make sure your analysis is actually correct. So at least 3. I would like to get in 4, but like he says, sometimes it comes to the last second, you don't really get that time. But 3 is a requirement.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do 4, minimum of 4. Much like you know what Mike was saying. I think that first listen is just that surface level listen. You know, just as far as how do you like how it sounds, the rap, et cetera, et cetera. But as it goes on, you can actually dig into the details of the album and try to pull out your analysis of why you like it or why you don't like it. So 4 is a good number for me.
Man, I just listen to the intro, that's it. No, I'm playing. But about at least 3, but it really depends on the artist. You know, like, cause sometimes we review artists that just go way over our heads, and those I'm like, okay, I need to block off X amount of time. I need to sit here and listen to this way more than maybe 5, 6 times. It just depends on who it is. But for the most part, 3 listens. Like Mike said, I'm with him. But like that second time, you kind of get a gist for who that artist is, and then that's how I try to rate them. I don't try to be like, oh well, you don't sound like Nas, or you don't sound. Nah, you try to figure out who that artist is, and then really try to figure out if they're the best that they can be. Because I don't like to try to compare. You know, sometimes I feel like artists can be in the same lane, but 3 listens. You know what I'm saying? At the minimum.
What if when the first time you listen to an album you think it sucks? You still listen to it over and over again?
It depends on why it sucks. You know what I'm saying? Like
if the production is garbage or you just can't get the sound of like an artist.
You
listen to it again?
We have to. I have to. You know, because even in some of the artists that I don't like, a lot of times I try to pull out something that they do well. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it might just only be the production, so that's more kudos to the producer. But sometimes it could be a flow. Like sometimes maybe what if their lyrics are garbage? Okay, you don't have to be the perfect artist, but I always try to find what you can do positive, and it's just I want to tell them in a review how you can do that better, and maybe everything else will follow suit.
Mm-hmm. You guys feel like that too?
No.
Oh.
If I listen to something, the first listen, if it's like horrible or bad, then I'm gonna get mad. Because the reason I'm gonna get mad is because I'm serious. Because the reason I'm gonna get mad is because I'm obligated to listen to this album a few more times because if we're gonna review this, it's gonna be on our channel. A lot of people are gonna see it, so I don't want to kind of half-ass the review. But I'm gonna say on that review pretty much why I couldn't stand this album, why it sucked, everything I hate about it, what I was feeling when I was listening to it. So yeah, usually the first listen, if it's bad, I'm like, damn, here we go.
Mike, why are you making that face?
What?
Because I mean, that's you, but
yeah.
you can make a lot of mistakes on your first listen. Like there's been a lot of albums that I've listened to the first time and I hated it. Went back the second time, hated it, third time, but then the 4th time I'm like, shit, wait, what the fuck was I thinking? Like A$AP Rock's last album, I hated it when I first listened to it. Now it's one of my favorite albums. So, I mean, you can get mad at first, but you gotta go take a walk, clear your head, come back, and then sit down again. it don't matter.
But Chance the Rapper was like that too for me. Like the first 2 times, I'm like, what the fuck is this corny dude doing? But then like by the 3rd, 4th listen, I'm like, oh my God, like this is dope, because you have, like I said, you have to figure out who that artist is. Like you can't compare them. And sometimes when people are trying to be different, because that's what hip hop is, you want to be unique. If you're so different, I might not understand you the first couple times. You know what I'm saying? So I have to really judge you for who you are, and are you being the best person you can be? And that's how I go about it.
He said, first time fucking. First time fucking.
Recycle bin.
No, I mean, I'm gonna listen to it again, because I'm gonna try to, like, okay, I gotta find something. But then if I still don't find it by that 4th or 5th time, I'm like,
You're over it.
Frisbee.
How is listening to an album for review different from listening to an album for enjoyment?
Oh man, like those lines got blurred like years ago for me now.
Is it all the same to you?
It's not all the same. I guess like now my mind thinks in kind of trying to figure these artists out. So even if I'm enjoying it, there's particular reasons why I'm enjoying it for. I would say early on, it felt more like a job, you know what I'm saying? Trying to like listen to what you want to listen to and then trying to break it down for a review. But now when I listen to music, I just kind of formulate my opinion, because it's like or at least I've conditioned myself to do that.
Yeah,
we've done it so much that at this point, it's almost one and the same.
I think for me, I guess it's for like new, if it's someone I'm not familiar with and I'm listening to it for the first time, I think I go into it as a review. But if it's someone like I'm like a huge fan of, I can't front. I'm gonna listen to it as an enjoyment, because it's gonna be something. It's gonna be an artist I'm looking forward to hearing.
Yeah.
So like if an LP or LZI is dropping an album, I'm like, I want to listen to this for enjoyment, because I have a good feeling I'm gonna enjoy this album. So I'm listening to it as enjoyment as far as a review. But yeah, if it's someone new, like I think recently we did Quest Searching Silver, and I've never heard his work before, anything. When I listened to this album, it was for review purposes, but by the time I got to like that 9th or 10th listen, I'm like, shit, I'm enjoying this shit now. When we gonna review this album? So, it just depends on, the artist for me. If it's someone I'm a huge fan of, I'm going to it as enjoyment.
Do you feel like you listen to it to be more technical? Like for something that you want to review versus something for enjoyment?
That's a good question. I think if it's for, and I'm kind of being biased, but so what? But if it's for someone that, like I enjoy, or I've been a huge fan of, I'm listening to this. I'm not even like thinking reviewing wise. I'm just listening to this. I'm just listening to this because I've always enjoyed this artist's work, and this is another album in their catalog that I'm enjoying again. So
when you listen to an album for review, like you have to really kind of like dig into it and try to pull out something, because you know that you're gonna engage in some form of conversation with not only Mike, B, or FIFO, but the people that watch the review or the people that's leaving comments. So at that point, you gotta really try to kind of pull out your analysis and take that and formulate that into something. When you listen to something for like enjoyment, you can just listen to it and that's that. You know what I'm saying? You just put it on and rock out to it and be good with it.
I think for me personally, I don't think there's much of a difference. Because I think a big mistake that a lot of music critics and music reviewers make is they try to separate themselves from actual fans and make themselves seem like they're different from the average person. So I'll try to like just put an album on and just address it like I'm an average listener, because I am, So if it's an album I like or if it's an album I don't like, I'm gonna say what I feel about it, which is why, if it's something that I don't like, people think I'm a little harsh. Well, your average fan is gonna be a little harsh.
What do you guys feel is more important, describing an emotional response to the music or giving technical critiques?
Emotion. Hands down. Because like at the end of the day, that's what is entertaining about us. And I think that when you watch something like on TV or you're spending your time, you want to be able to connect. And always being technical, everybody doesn't know technical. Everybody doesn't speak technical. Mm-hmm. Everybody speaks emotion. Everybody can relate to that. Mm-hmm. So for me, I've never been like a technical person except when it comes to like, specific things that I like. But music, it is emotional. You know what I'm saying? It takes you through a wide range of emotions. So what better way to describe the music than in an emotional way?
It really depends on who you're talking to, I think. I agree 100% with what FIFO just said. Mm-hmm. The emotional part is the most important part, because for the most part you're talking to the artist's audience, and they're going to connect with you as far as how the album made you feel emotionally. But the technical part comes in after, if you're talking to the actual artist. You know, they need to hear the emotional aspect of, you know, this made me feel good, or this made me get hyped, you know, or this made me feel like shit, and I don't want to listen to music for the rest of the week. But they need that technical part so they can understand. You gotta talk in artist language too, so they can understand like
What they're doing.
what they're doing well, what they're doing wrong, how they can maybe improve it. You know.
Easy.
Oh, shit, yeah. I'm emotional. I mean, you know, I'm the last person to like really articulating something because if y'all watch my reviews, I'm basing mine strictly off emotion. It's like emotion right there.
Yeah.
How I feel about this album. I'm not gonna be like super technical with
Like picky.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I'm gonna state why I didn't like the album and what areas that I liked about the album and stuff like that. But it's pure emotion.
Do you guys review more with the artist in mind or with the audience in mind? Okay.
I think I just review more with the audience in mind. You know, I do hope that the artists do check it out, but I think at least for me, it's more or less talking to the people. Because those are the people that we actually engage in the conversations with. You know what I'm saying? That's where the dialogue takes place. With the artists, you may or may not talk to them. You know, I think that if they do watch it, it's important that if there's something that I don't like or that I, you know, didn't really particularly care for, it would be cool if they did, you know, check it out. But, you know, they're going to make the music that they're going to make. So, you know, for me as a consumer and as a fan, you know, I'd rather talk to you guys about it, you know, and you know, review it with you guys in mind because I will talk to you guys more than I'll talk to the artists.
Fibo, you've been kind of quiet.
Yeah, you know, like one of our mottos is we are the people, so I always consider the audience more so than the artist, because you guys come to us for the honest opinion. So like Ken said, I don't really care if the artist likes our review, if they watch us or anything like that, because it's not for them. I'm not doing this for them. I'm doing it for, you know, the betterment of hip hop and letting you guys know what I like and dislike. And it's just not my opinion. Like, no one person in hip hop, their opinion is valid like that. But that's why we have 4 different opinions where, you know, a lot of people agree with me and then they don't agree with Mike, or most times they agree with Mike and they like, yo, people like, what the hell? Like, you know, but it is what it is. But at the end of the day, we got 4 different opinions, and we just, I know I do it for the audience. I could care less what the artist thinks.
Busy, what you think?
I think, and I guess as the channel was getting bigger and now like artists are watching our channels, I'm kind of both though. I'm like people. I'm kind of like with the audience and kind of somewhat to the artists as well, because I'm like, okay, they're gonna have to watch this shit at some point. So I'm gonna still say how I feel. So it's a little bit of both for me, I think.
Mike, I feel like sometimes it's evident that you do have the artist in mind.
Absolutely.
So which one do you feel like would be more for you?
Artists. 9 times out of 10, I'm talking to the artist.
That's what I think.
You know, I don't feel like y'all need to hear my opinion. I'm sorry, what you saying?
No, I knew you were gonna say that.
Oh, well.
We're here.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, I'm talking to the artist. I don't think that. I mean, I'm sure you guys find it entertaining to sit there and listen to somebody talk about an album, but you don't need to hear that. I feel like the artist needs to hear it, because how many artists really have that unadulterated, like untapped, like you said, emotional response to their music that they can really trust? You know, most artists are walking around with yes men who are telling them, yeah man, your shit's hot. Yeah, shit's hot.
True.
And we are out in the streets being like, you're out of your fucking mind. That shit is terrible. But nobody's telling them that. So when I do a review, I'm always talking to the artist, because at the end of the day, like, I want good music, or I want stuff that I find enjoyable. So, and the best way to get it is to tell the artist what you think. Not that my opinion is that important, but I'm saying like what you think is good and what might be bad about their music, because they're not going to hear it from you guys. I mean, record sales don't mean anything anymore because nobody's buying albums.
Well,
so how are these people really going to hear whether or not their album's good?
I think now that we're bigger, right, and we've been around for a while, and more of the artists are watching. Yeah, I think it's important that they do receive that feedback. But for me, you know, I've always been talking to people. You know what I'm saying? And that's where the conversations have taken place. So, you know, it's great that we have these mediums, these social media networks, who, you know, reach out and let them know how we feel. But at the same time, you know, when I've been talking to all of my friends in high school or college or whatever, you know, it was just how we felt about the music, and that was where the enjoyment took place. Oh man, did you hear such and such? Yeah, man, that was dope, and that was fun. So I think that's why I keep the audience in mind, because you know, for me, that's where I get the most enjoyment. It's great if I say something and be like, oh man, you know what? Thank you for saying that, because I never would have thought about that until you heard it. You know what I'm saying? Until you said it. So.
Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, like the underlying thing, what everybody's saying is just be honest, because for me, I'm being honest to the audience. Like I said, I keep the audience more so in mind. But me being honest is being honest to the artist as well. So if they do come by it and they watch it, I'm not going in the mindset like I'm gonna talk to this artist directly. But if I'm being honest, you're gonna get that. And every artist that we interview, like that's what they say. You know what I'm saying? Like even if they disagree with me, like they're just keep being honest. And at the end of the day, it'll serve both parties. It'll serve the artist and the audience.
Mike, you were gonna say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that he made a really good point. Like, if you're talking to the actual artist, and there's been a few artists that we've talked to, and more importantly, ones that we've said things that weren't overly positive, like critical things, and for the most part, they thanked us.
Yeah.
With the exception of Cormega slapping the shot of B earlier, the majority of them, they say, yo, like, I appreciated what you said, because they don't hear that. All your boys are around, they're not gonna tell you, like, yo, that one song, I feel like you were trying too hard. Or this song, I feel like that line was not that great. But when they see us saying it, even though we're doing it on YouTube to thousands of people, I think at the end of the day, if they're a real artist and they're trying to make their career go to a certain level, they're going to listen. And they're gonna take criticism, you know, in a good way.
Which leads us to our next question. And I feel like we've had instances of this before. Does negative responses from the audience or artist influence how you may review an album in the future?
Well, you know what? Look,
You
know what? Look, I remember when we kind of were in the beginning phases. We did an album review for Rex, and the reason why it stands out to me, because like coming into hip hop, like I wasn't birthed off of it, so I came into it rather late. So when we talking about like this boom bap type of, you know, traditional hip hop, I'm like I really didn't have an opinion. And we did a Rex review, and everybody's like, yo, like, did people even listen to this shit? All you said it was dope. And I'm just like, well, that's how I felt. But then I had to start thinking, like, okay, I'm presenting myself to thousands of people. I have to formulate a better opinion. And, you know, just like how we review artists, I feel like the comment section and the ad mentions on Twitter sometimes are reviews for us. So I had to take that with a grain of salt and be like, okay, I gotta do better. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that like what people say really changed me, but I am privy to that, and I do want to be the best reviewer I can be. You know what I'm saying? So I do take some of that negative feedback and I do apply it to what I do, but it's never going to change my opinion and who I am. Like, I'm always going to like what I like, and it's never going to be, you know, biased in that way. But you know, but nah, for the most part, nah.
What do you think about the artist? Like, from an artist standpoint, if they see something as a negative, are you going to change how you review their stuff in the future?
No. Why? Like, why should I?
Because you're just speaking how you feel, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not changing me. Like, you know, like if I don't like it, then you're not making music for me.
Well, Ken, how do you feel about it?
No, it doesn't bother me. It won't change anything. I think if there is an artist that we do know or that we have a relationship with, if we end up reviewing a project, you know, I walk into it like, man, I hope I like this, because, you know, if you don't like it and we have a show that's built on being honest, you know, and unfiltered, then, you know, to the integrity of Dead End Hip Hop and what we do,
You have to do that.
I have to. Yeah, you know, and I think, you know, if we never reviewed an artist project on the channel and they're watching the channel and they have a relationship with us and they know us, then they understand and will appreciate what they get. It's like Mike was saying earlier, you know, they don't watch the show, they don't come to us for, you know, for us to say, yeah, it's dope, it's dope, it's dope.
Yeah.
They want honest feedback, you know, back towards them. So it's up to us to do that. So it doesn't affect me at all. You know, if there's something I don't like, then, you know, it is what it is. Even with the audience, you know, as a matter of fact, I like it best when the audience has something negative to say. You know, it's fun to go in the comment section and engage with them and have those conversations, because that's what it's about. It's the conversation on the channel, and then it's the conversation in the comment section and on social media as well.
Yeah, I'm saying, I was getting ready to say that. Same way. If it's it don't influence me. For one, I'm gonna get that out the way right now. But if the audience say something, it's like I purposely go on to YouTube after we upload a video. I just look for my name.
I'm
like, say my name.
Say my name. Yeah.
Screenshot, links on Twitter.
I look for it. I'm like, I just be looking like, see if someone gonna say something negative about what I said or disagree, or at least disagree. And I get them. I like it. So I like it. I love it. Like Ken said, I love when the audience disagree or have something to say with what I said about a review, especially if it's like an artist, like a fan or something like that. I love it. But yeah, that's it.
It depends on what they say. Like, I mean, if you guys have ever watched our show, the majority of the negative comments are usually either directed at me or FIFO. So I can't really take that stuff too seriously. I used to be going in there like being like, what are you talking? I don't do that shit no more. Like, that shit just stresses me out, man. I be driving home from work, just be like, man, I can't wait to get home. What? Man, ain't talking about what the fuck I'm talking about. Turn my car all hard and shit. So yeah, I was about to, yeah.
Do you even check the comment section anymore?
No, not really. I scroll through there sometimes because here's the thing, like, I'm cool if somebody goes in there and says, okay, Mike said this, but I think he misunderstood. That line really meant this, or maybe, or even like lately when they've been saying you guys are too old.
Like a different perspective.
Yeah, like back in the day I would get mad and be like, what the fuck, man, that's so stupid. But now when I really think about it, I'm not saying that that's always a valid excuse, but sometimes it is because, we look at things, people who are mine and Kim's age, think about music differently. Like, we look at things and we think of how it was when we were a little bit younger, and I don't think everyone really looks at things that way. So sometimes when people break it down like that, I'm cool with it. And that might make me think about how I look at an album in the future, which A$AP Rocky is a perfect example. When that mixtape came out, I was like, this is horrible. This is garbage. This is the worst thing I've ever heard. And everyone was like, y'all are too old. Was that him or Currents that makes music for niggas with hairlines?
That was Currents.
Okay.
That was A$AP.
Was it A$AP Rocky? Okay, yeah. They said, you make music for, he makes music for niggas with hairlines. And most of us. I'm playing. Look, mine's going too. So yeah, but for the next LeBron James. I know. I be pushing it to the front. Yeah. But for the next A$AP Rocky project, that really made me think about the music differently. I went into it knowing that it was not gonna relate to people in my age bracket. And now I fucking love his album. I'm still not really that big on the mixtape, but album I love. And I think if I approached the album with the same mentality that I did with the mixtape, I would hate it. So it has made me change my mind a little bit on how I think. It's not going to change my direct opinion about something, but it may make me put myself in a different mindset when I listen to certain projects.
It changed your perspective on it.
Absolutely.
Is being an objective music critic important to you?
Yes.
I would say, for all of y'all.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of like the foundation that this was built off of. No politics, no BS. We don't. We came into this, we didn't know anybody, and I think one of the things that we all discussed was to be honest and as objective as possible as well, because it creates an integrity issue when you're not, and we want the artist that's watching, and more importantly the people that's watching, that subscribe to the show, that's watching us, we want them to get the best from us. So that way when they go out and spend their money on an album that we say is good, they'll actually feel that and they'll be willing to go spend that money. We're not letting them down because that's money that they've earned. So yeah, that's absolutely important to us.
Like, I remember when Rod and Ken brought to me the idea of creating the show, and I was like, yes, that's gonna work, because there's nobody just telling you the God honest truth in terms of just music. Whether they're right or wrong, at the end of the day, it just seems like there was a lot of politics going on throughout hip hop, regardless. And there just wasn't a voice of the people. Like, and I don't, like Mike said, I don't try to see myself as a reviewer. I'm a regular person that loves hip hop. You know what I'm saying? It's just I have the opportunity to be on DEHH Hip Hop, and I don't take that lightly. Like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm obligated to give you my God honest truth every single time, because, or else why would I be doing it? You know,
Yeah.
we've been doing it for so long, and it's not like we're getting rich off of this. I do it because I love to do it, and I love hip hop. So this is my contribution.
Mike, how do you feel about it?
I agree with them. It's absolutely important.
Do you feel like it's important because of how many people you're talking to as well? Like how many people are watching or tuning in?
No, I'm not really worried about them, because I mean, they call me a liar on a regular basis. They call all of us liars on a regular basis. You know, if you don't like what they like, you're full of shit.
Okay.
So I'm not really concerned with them. Like I said before, like I'm really more concerned with, you know, I want to talk to the artist. Yeah, being an objective reviewer is really, 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 really important, but it's extremely difficult. You know, because you're human. You know, you listen to music, and the majority of what you take away from that is emotional. So like, it's kind of hard to really judge art on a technical level, because there's no logic really in art. So
True.
It's difficult to not be biased. And we're all biased. You know, some of us like lyrics, some of us like beats, some of us just like to ride out to shit. You know, as long as the trunk rattles, you're good. You know, so yeah, it's important, but I mean, we gotta be honest. It's not always possible.
The next question is going to be directed towards FIFO. What makes an album bump in the whip worthy?
Oh man, you know, it's a lot of different criteria to bump in with me.
All right, all
Break it
right.
down.
You
Break
know,
it down.
Break it down. Come on.
The 13